Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with you as always. Welcome to another Indiana Sports Beat Radio show here on this Friday. And we've got a big one lined up as always coming to you. Brought to you by our great friends from Endeavor Hospitality of Bloomington and Andy Moore Honda, the #1 Honda dealer around. Don't forget about our great friends at BB's Market. BB's Market is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live, with some of the best custom meats around. BB's Market has the largest variety of in-made house products as well. You can visit bbsmarket.com. Next Friday should be the first, next Friday is going to be the first week. Should be coming to you from BB's next Friday, as we should have our first tailgate item that we're going to make. So don't forget to send in those. Do not forget to please send in your suggestions. You can send them in. There's 1,000 ways to message me, and I think you can find it either via Twitter, which is the best way. Just follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB, and my messages are open. You can send them right there, or through some of the other sources, whether it's on Indiana Sports Beat Radio or however you can find it. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com joining us this morning as well. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star will be along, and then of course it's Freaky Friday as Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek will join us, as we've got week 0 upon us in college football. So plenty to talk about. Alec Lasley, welcome, man.
How's it going? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. It is a Friday, and not only that, it's the Friday before the opening of the college football season, which is weird because we're in week 0, a creation by TV. But looking forward to just getting that kicked off. But everyone's mind is still on basketball without question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like college sports is finally back. So I think everyone's pretty excited to kind of get that rolling. But I think, when it comes to especially Indiana fans, they're obviously a lot more geared towards the college basketball season, just due to obviously all the excitement and kind of build up. But either way, good to kind of get back in the swing of things, get some college sports back on the TV and back in person. So should be a fun week, and obviously a fun season ahead, and busy next 6 months here.
Jalen Hood-Schifino, news came out yesterday that he will be participating now. He's already out in LA, I believe, participating in the Chris Paul Elite Guard Camp, which cannot be anything but great and helpful for him. But as he mentioned, he already had a relationship with him, which that's a positive as well. When you have just simply having a relationship with someone like that shows your reach for Jalen Hood-Schifino. But that's going to be happening the 25th through the 28th. So yesterday and today and tomorrow. But that can only make Hoosier fans a little more excited, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously right before the season too. So I think a lot of people are excited to see some of the news to come out of the weekend in regards to Jalen Hood-Schifino. But he continues to go to all the top events, whether it was back in high school, whether obviously now before the season starts. And I think it's just another kind of building block for him to kind of get ready for his freshman season, where there are a lot of expectations. And I think not only just internally now, I feel nationally, there seems to be over the last maybe 3 or 4 months a huge kind of draw for Jalen Hood-Schifino, even maybe more than in the spring. And I think that just shows the the testament to Jalen Hood-Schifino for obviously continuing to work, but just what he's been able to do when he's been kind of under the bright lights, obviously, whether it be any sort of all-star game, any sort of camp in the high school season, or even after the high school season and winning a national championship and being able to play in some of those other events, not only showing he belongs in that top crop of players in the class, but shows that he's definitely in the upper half, if not the even the upper third there of all the top 20, 25, 30 players in the country. And just shows that he's ready to compete. I think a lot of people obviously around the Indiana program already knew that, but I feel like it's starting just to come out a little bit more nationally, just what an impact he should make and is expected to make for Indiana this season.
Yeah, and a lot of us had already expected him to be a starter on this team, and that obviously does not change. That this only emboldens that theory, but also not just a starter. Indiana has to be better. They can't just come out and put the guys on the floor that were there last year and the guys that they've added. They have to be better. They have to be better as one unit. And everything that he's doing to going to this Chris Paul camp, hopefully will help with that. But the other guys have to be better too. The guys that are coming back. Trayce Jackson-Davis has to be better. It starts and ends with Trayce Jackson-Davis. First of all, he has to improve. He played obviously very well last year. He had a successful personal season, but there was more that he could and needs to do, and we all know what that is. And does he make that growth? And I think that is going to be dependent on Indiana's growth is dependent upon that as well, because while they will have other pieces that have added, they still need a little bit more from him, I think.
Yeah, and I'm still a little bit hesitant to believe that Trayce Jackson-Davis is obviously going to find a consistent jump shot here this summer. We've talked about it pretty much ever since he put his name out there that he was going to at least go through the draft process of exactly what he needed to do, obviously, in order to reach the next step and in order to take his game to the next level, was obviously to get the jump shot, whether it be a consistent jump shot or whether it just be consistently taking those open looks that he's had in the past and kind of creating a little bit more spatial awareness there on the offensive end and not, just so much sticking to pick and roll and on the block. I think at the end of the day, I don't see that happening a great amount. I think the bigger question is going to be how effective is Race Thompson at doing that, because we already saw last year the ability for him to at least hit the three at somewhat of a higher clip than what he did the year before, and obviously throughout his career, where he really has not been any sort of threat to even shoot the ball from the outside. But I think he really started to develop at least some sort of confidence of being able to make the three ball. And if he's able to do that, even, at a 33% level from three, it just opens up a lot more for Indiana. And I think it opens up a lot more for Trayce Jackson-Davis because of that. But obviously Trayce Jackson-Davis needs to continue to take whatever step forward he can at the college level. And I think a lot of that is still, at the end of the day, going to be dependent on how consistent Xavier Johnson is. And then if Race Thompson is going to be able to open up the floor a little bit more, because I just don't know how effective Trayce Jackson-Davis is going to be shooting the ball from 15 to 17 feet at a consistent level. Obviously, I expect him to make a few more and at least take a few more than last year, but he's going to be a low post player. He's going to be catch the ball at the high post and take someone off of the dribble, but he's still going to live within the 13 to 15 feet that he has for most of his college career.
Yeah, I agree with you. I expect no difference. And truthfully, I don't know that I think that Indiana really needs anything more than that from him, but they haven't really gotten that from him. It's really, to me, it's been more of a 5 to 6 feet arc that he has lived in for his career. And that's been the issue, because you're talking about just outside of the block charge square. which that's a congested area. Not only is it a congested area, less room for you to maneuver, but it's also less room for playmakers to find seams and holes. So you've got to kind of, there's always has to be movement and flow and not clogging those lanes, which was, that was kind of an issue for Indiana, I think, last year a little bit. But as long as he can spread out, because they do have playmakers. Jalen Hood-Schifino is someone that can make develop his own or get his own shot. Obviously, Xavier can. Whether his consistency is going to be a question this year, has he grown as a leader? And then the second unit. Obviously, the second unit much better this year. Expected to be much better. Should be much better. You've got Malik Raynaud, who I've heard nothing but great things about. You've also got Tamar Bates, who you hope makes a good jump. Jordan Geronimo, who you hope makes a good jump. So there's a lot of unknowns in that regard on how well that second unit elevates.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of going back to what you touched on with Trace Jackson Davis. Yeah, Indiana doesn't need him to do anything more than what he has been doing. I think if you do see any sort of change, it's going to be a lot more of kind of that ball screen action, and kind of more so of a pop, not for him to shoot, but to showcase some of that versatility that I think he has gained over the last year with taking someone off of the dribble. And if you spread that out almost 5 around none, you're going to have that ability. And he's more athletic in terms of the college game than a lot of other, traditional 4s and 5s, especially in the Big Ten. Obviously, when you get outside of the Big Ten, it's a little bit different in terms of the style of play, obviously, which is, very evident. But when you get inside of conference play, I think utilizing him a lot more as almost a slashing big could be utilized a lot more than it has. But going to the bench, yeah, I mean, it all comes down to, obviously, I think you look at Tamar Bates, but Malik Raynaud is kind of those two guys that if they're able to come in and play with the expectations that I think a lot of people have for him this year, that second unit is not only going to be kind of an extension of two other starters that a lot of teams around the country are not going to have. But it just comes down to consistency, and that's been the biggest thing with Indiana's bench, over the last few years with some of those other guys. But you go down the line, and you have a lot of players who do have a lot of different skill sets, which Indiana did not have recently, and that's one positive that you look at. You do have some shooters, you do have some slashers, some playmakers, obviously depth in the front court. But I think, a lot of people look at Jordan Geronimo as a guy who needs to take a step up. I do think there's even more of an importance on Malik Raynaud than there is Jordan Geronimo, just due to the fact that in the Big Ten, you do need another very physical body. Obviously, Geronimo has the athletic ability that a lot of Big Ten players don't have at this point, but you still need a big body who can play in the low post and not give up a ton of weight, ton of size. And I think that's where Malik Raynaud comes in, especially if Trace Jackson Davis or Race Thompson get in foul trouble of some sort. And I think Malik Raynaud is going to play a lot more of an important role than people are expecting or giving to him. And I think obviously that expectation is already super high. So Indiana's second unit is extremely important to this team. And I think you're going to see, as long as they're consistent, that be one of the better second group of guys around the country this season.
Well, certainly could make a gigantic difference for Indiana and what they are trying to do, and that's going to be much needed, because if Coach Woody continues to substitute in the manner in which he did last year in mass, that would make a big difference. I wonder if he's going to continue to do that. I know that's an NBA type thing, but again, in the NBA, man, even though you're not bringing in 5 superstars, you're bringing in 5 professional players, and that's not the case when you're doing that. When he was doing that last year, that was not the case. But obviously, the talent level will be much better. But I still, in mass, I hope that I would like to not see that if Indiana wants to be more successful last year. I think that was one of the reasons. There was too many times when that happened that you saw a great drop in not just production, but defense. You'd see gains lost in that area, but this would be a stronger second unit. But you'd sure like to see it a little bit more mixture.
Yeah, and I think a large part of that was just due to the extremely inconsistent play of that bench unit last year. And, coming from the NBA, where a lot of coaches like to have situational lineups and players play obviously very key and specific roles at specific times in games. That's what Mike Woodson tried to do last year. Obviously, with that second unit not being very consistent and just not very deep come kind of middle of Big Ten play, there just wasn't a lot of options for Mike Woodson. It was very kind of static almost in terms of you knew who was coming in at what time, and you knew kind of what that finishing lineup was going to be. And obviously you still need that finishing lineup, but you do need some sort of versatility when it comes to lineup dispersion. And I think you'll get that a lot more this year, just due to the fact that, I think Mike Woodson, one, knows a lot more about the returning players. The returning players know a lot more about kind of what they need to do to be on the floor. But just the overall skill set of this team and the talent on the team is just a lot better. And I think the IQ of the team is a lot higher. And that goes a long way in putting some of these players in very situational lineups and situational roles that he's still going to utilize, even if it is bringing in a CJ Gunn for 2 minutes at the end of the half, or 2 possessions at the end of the half, or whatever it may be, and that being the only kind of time that person sees the floor. You will see that utilized, because Mike Woodson's not going to go away from that, I don't think. Then it's just up to obviously the consistency of that player and that rotation, which again, if you have more talent and more and higher IQ, is going to be better because of that.
Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us right now, talking some Indiana basketball. We're going to take a break. We're brought to you, of course, by BB's Market, your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live, with some of the best custom meats around. They're a part of the WOW Club. Reach out to BB's at visitbbsmarket.com. Order from wherever for some great meats. And don't forget to join the WOW Club. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up. And today it is free. Start earning WOW rewards no matter where you live. We start doing this BB's thing. I'm telling you, we're going to start doing some giveaways, and it's going to be fun. So do us a favor. They are a sponsor of IU Athletics, more importantly, and of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We couldn't do this without them. So do that for us. Back with more. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting We'll talk about the rankings in this segment there, Alec.
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah, I saw the 2025 top 40 came out. I don't know if that was yesterday or if that was recently, but
yeah, it was yesterday. I was very surprised to see, 25 players better than Jalen Harrelson, but they're 20.
Yeah, I kind of thought both of them.
It's a long way to go.
And obviously, I don't know anything about high school basketball.
Well, you know what?
Based on what you all say, I kind of thought both of them and Sisley would have been really high.
What's his name about that?
Rob
Cassidy.
Yeah. I mean, find me a effing 6'6" point guard that can do what he can do. He could play the 1, the 2, the 3 if he wanted to.
Yeah, honestly, I think the biggest thing is he just wasn't at. Obviously, he didn't play in Peach Jam because Indy Heat didn't qualify for it, so they were in the kind of consolation bracket. I think that kind of put a damper on a few things. for him, but just missed a couple events due to an ankle injury after he rolled that pretty bad at Charlie Hughes when we were there. But I still was shocked to see. Didn't think he was going to be top 5, top 10, but definitely thought he was going to be in that 15 to 17 range.
Ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. Oh, man. All right.
Alec, are you going to need me for anything on the Hoosier during football season this year or
no? Don't think so.
What do he need you for?
Last year, I think it's because what's-his-face had to be let go. There were some things to help out with at the beginning.
God, that fucking still fucking hurting. Hey, Alec.
Yep.
On the previews, the only one thing is I'm not sure that should be premium.
I can see a little bit of that. I think
because there's nothing really there that's earth-shattering, and it's especially this far out. That gives us more draw in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we're like I said, if we did 2 because
10 seconds. All right, here we go.
Not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It is Friday, TGIF, baby. Looking forward to it. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us right now. Make sure you give him a follow at Al Lasley. Make sure you do the same for me, please, at Jim Coyle ISB on Twitter, so you can reach out to us and stay up to date on everything. Alec, there were the Rivals, thehoosier.com, of course, part of the Rivals Network, but the Rivals rankings, new rankings came out this week, and some surprises for some of the Indiana targets. We'll talk about that, but let's start at the top. Darren Peterson from Canton, Ohio. He's a shooting guard. Travis listed him as a 5-star, top-tier prospect in the 25 class, great shooter, shot creator. This guy seems to be pretty electrifying. I have not seen him play. Have you seen him play?
Not in person. Obviously, he still is from the Midwest, but plays a lot more kind of some of these bigger national events that not a lot of the kind of Indiana targets at the time when he was offered, which was he was probably, I would say, one of the first 2025 offers for the staff. So he's been involved kind of with Indiana for a while, but has not been a lot of traction there. Again, 2025. So Indiana's putting a lot more work in a few different places for the 2025 class, which I think a lot of at least local Indiana fans are more excited about. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, a long time to go. It helps being in the Midwest, but there's nothing at the moment to point to Indiana being super heavily involved with him. As you know, we sit here on August 26th with a couple years left for the 25 class.
Now, Mikhail Brown on here, which didn't make sure I didn't jump ahead one, which actually I did. Let me go back to Bryson Tiller first. Bryson Tiller, big 6'8", beefy, small forward, phenomenal athlete. He calls him. The type of athlete. This is the type of guy. This is Mike Whitson's guy right here. This is the Arrington Paige. This is that wing, that big wing that can shoot, that can score, that can rebound, that I think Mike Woodson is really looking to build with.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one guy who I think was the first class of 2025 prospect to the youngest prospect to make a move to overtime elite. He still maintains college.
7, by the way.
Yeah, currently he still has college eligibility because overtime elite put in now with NIL, they can use that instead of actually getting physically paid a salary, which is what overtime elite has kind of become. So it was an interesting move for that, but he's originally from the Georgia area, played for the same AAU program as Ja'Kai Newton, current Indiana commit. So there's connections there. He is someone that wants to visit Indiana. He's been open about that, but recruitment not very down the line to this point as it is with much of the 25 class. But he is someone that despite going to overtime elite, Indiana is going to remain involved with and I think stay pretty heavily involved with. He is that type of prototypical wing that Mike Woodson wants in his offense. Bigger, stronger, very athletic guy who can play and more importantly guard a few different positions. Good shooter and is really working on that ball handling ability. So I do think he will end up going to college. He's been very open about wanting to go to college. And Indiana is a school that's going to remain, pretty high on his list, at least throughout the majority of his recruitment.
All right, here's where I go south with Rob Cassidy. I can't wait to get him on here. This kid has an IU offer. Mikhail Brown from Wichita, Kansas. He is also a point guard. And then you've got Jalen Harrelson. Mikhail Brown ranked number 11, Jalen Harrelson 26th. Mikhail Brown is 5'10", 150. And Jalen Harrelson is 6'7", 205 pounds at point guard. There's just I know this kid may be electrifying, but if I'm for a Division I college basketball team, there's no comparison there. You need, this is the Big Ten, not the MAC, and there's no way I could see a kid with that size. I've seen Jalen Harrelson being that much better and having that much more ability than someone like Jalen Harrelson. So that one's really mystifying to me.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit in the break. I think I was definitely surprised to see Jalen Harrelson at 26. Seeing him multiple times in person, seeing a few other guys in the 2025 class, it was shocking to me to see him at that spot. I thought he would come in a little bit more kind of the mid-teens, just due to the fact that he is a 6'7" point guard, and he has a better body than I think you could say for a large majority of the 2024 class already, and some guys in the 2023 class. The way that he uses his body, his physical frame, his athletic ability, and his willingness to play on both ends of the floor, I think kind of separates him from a lot of other point guards in the class. There have been some discussions. Is he a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? But I think this summer he definitely showed he is a point guard and definitely someone who can lead a team. More importantly, regardless of kind of what position you want to put him in. I think for Mikhail Brown, it's more of a expectation that he's going to grow more, obviously, and he's going to put on more weight. And what he's able to do, at his size right now, kind of showcases what that potential could be. Obviously, you have smaller guards all around the country who put up monster numbers and who proved to be really, really successful at the Power 5 high major level. So we'll see how this 2025 class pans out. I think Jalen Harrelson at the end of the day is going to end up a 5-star prospect in this class and going to end up definitely inside the top 20, if not the top 15. We'll see how both of their skill sets continue to develop over the next couple of seasons here in high school. But I do think one difference is going to be from Mikhail Brown playing on a national powerhouse in Sunrise Christian, where he transferred to, versus Jalen Harrelson playing at Fishers. Again, no knock to anything in state, but I think you're gonna you're in the rankings, at least you're going to give the nod to someone who is going to be playing on a national, especially televised league versus someone who's playing in state for a school that does not play a very strong national level type competition on their schedule. So we'll see how that ends up. I think Jalen Harrelson is going to end up one of the best players in the class, and I think he's someone that I would at least take on my team right now at the college level.
Absolutely, and his size is just mind-boggling to me for a point guard. Not that we've never seen. I mean, Magic, of course, 6'9". It's not like we've never seen this before, but it's not often. You don't see guys with this size at the point. And he's not just tall. This dude is thick. He looks like a fullback. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen when he gets to college and Coach Cliff gets a hold of him? They're going to back him down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you talking about a guy that could be a phenomenal. I mean, that's NBA material right there already. Coach Woodson has to be salivating at the hopes of getting him. And I know Indiana's in great position with Jalen Harrelson. He's one that they've been in early and often with.
Yeah. And the biggest thing for him and his development is to continue to get a more consistent jump shot. Doesn't often seek it out just due to the fact that he can get at the rim and get to the rim and kind of turn the corner and get downhill very easily. Doesn't matter if he's playing against his age group or playing up, which he did on the Nike YBL circuit for Indy Heat, both him and Trent Sisley. But he does need to continue to work on the jump shot and make it at least a consistent and an effort where the defense has to at least keep an eye on him out there, because up to this point, very, very little shot attempts from beyond the 3-point line. Not that he needs to be a strong 3-point shooter, but needs to be able to continue to develop that skill set. So once he does, the defense really does not have many options at that point.
Some of the others that don't want to miss. Trey McKinney. Well, let's get to Trent Sisley first. Another Indiana kid, of course, from Heritage Hills, 6'7". Also listed as a 4-star, number 33 on the list. Not surprising. He's a great wing out there, a good shooter. Probably needs to work on the ability to score off, develop his own, get to the rim type of shot. But probably that defense on that as well. But he is very, very good. He is going to be another player that Indiana, he already is a player that Indiana wants very, very badly. They've been in often and early with him as well. I expect Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson are a package that Indiana is working on very, very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest step for him moving forward, he showcased this a lot towards the end of the summer, which was really good to see, is that ability to create off of the dribble. He's not going to be your traditional power forward on the block. He's very skilled, very good athlete, which I think is a bit underrated at times when he's out on the floor. But I would love to see him be a little bit more aggressive with the ball and hunting his own shot. I think he's going to end up being a lot more perimeter oriented, which at his size, his ability, I think it was shot 42% from three this summer. His ability to maintain, even if it's 36, 37% from the perimeter, will just continue to open up his game. But I would like to see him develop more of that ability to create off of the dribble and play almost as a bigger three than a stretch four, just due to the fact that he is so skilled. I think having the ball in his hands a little bit more and letting him create a little bit more is kind of that next step for him. And I think he can easily do that, which I think would really kind of skyrocket, his potential, which is already obviously super high. But I think coming in right around where he's at 33, top 40 makes sense. I don't think, there should be any argument with that. And again, a lot of these guys, 2025, still a long way to go in their development. So, it's fun to talk about the rankings, but they really don't mean a lot until you get to this time next summer when you have multiple cycles to see how they develop and especially play on the AAU circuit against top level competition every single weekend.
Do all of these targets have offers from Indiana?
Yep, all these in the top 40 that were listed here all have offers, and Indiana's at least as heavily involved with most of them as you can with class of 2025s up to this point. I think Jalen Harrison and Trent Sisley are obviously outliers when it comes to involvement, just due to the fact that they are going to be wanted by so many programs, and you would hate to lose either one of those to an out-of-state school or even to another in-state school if you're Indiana. But for the other ones, just a lot of national recognition for a lot of these guys that Indiana's involved with.
And I think that you're going to see Indiana having more success as the season goes by. I know a lot of people want them having that success now, but I keep saying they haven't won anything, and they've got to win first. But they're getting closer and closer as the season goes by. And I think that by the time they hit that 25 class, that's when they'll be in their momentum. Alec, what's up next for you at the Hoosier.com? I know there's a lot of player previews going on right now.
Yeah, player previews. Obviously, the school year just started, so kids are back on campus after a little bit of a break with summer workouts. But a lot of the focus is now going to be gearing towards the big upcoming junior year official visit in a little bit less than a month from now for Liam McNeely. Derek Queen also wants to visit. A lot of other 2024s, Jared Mustaf, a lot of guys looking to set up visits, and even class of 2025 kids who are starting to slowly schedule unofficial visits when they started in August, at the very beginning, August 1, when they could get on campus for actual true unofficial visits. So there's going to be now more of a kick up in scheduled visits where over the last month it's at times been a little bit stale for getting kids on campus.
When's Hoosier Hysteria? Is it the 7th?
Yep, homecoming weekend.
That's 6 weeks, man. That's only 6 weeks away, man.
Yep, it's going to come up pretty quickly.
That's crazy. Hey, make sure you give Alec Lasley a follow, like I said, on Twitter at allasley.com, or at Al Lasley rather. But also go to thehoosier.com and rivals to keep up with everything that's going on, as obviously that is where all the information for the recruiting and news for IU basketball and more is. Alec, thank you very much, man.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You as well. Hey, we've got more to come here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Go Team, a part of the Wow Club. Go Team Bites. You're always on the go, and it's hard to find fresh, tasty food that's convenient to eat on the fly. Go Team Bites were created for go-getters like you. Go Team Bites are full of fresh, healthy ingredients, and each recipe contains high-quality protein powder. And guess what? They taste awesome. High-achieving people like you need a great-tasting source of energy to conquer the day, or for your student athletes or whomever that may be. You can get those. They are part of the Wow Club as well. So check it out. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Zach Osterman's going to join us later on. We've got the Crazy Boys, Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. I thought Zach was doing 9:10.
Yeah, I'm missing him a text. He asked me to move it because he has a breakfast thing at 9:30, or he has to leave at 9:30 for a breakfast thing. So I'm going to make sure. I mean, he emailed me again this morning, so he should be good. Excuse me. And just to fill people in on the Pizza King saga that we started yesterday, said I was getting it. Didn't disappoint. Still lives up to the nostalgic memories.
Oh, whatever. Hello, Zachary.
Hey,
Do you have to be out by a certain time?
I've just got a sick kid at home, so I mean he's
Okay. No, I just want to make
probably going to run in here at some point. I apologize.
Hey, so that doesn't matter. He can sit on your lap. I've had Jordan Hulse's kids on the entire part of the show. We're all good, man. We're family friendly.
Well, thank you.
We're also dog friendly.
That is a fact. We have more dogs on here than guests, I think. What would you prefer to talk about? I saw your piece. We can talk about that.
What are we talking about?
I call them the clowns.
Well,
But
yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's people don't understand. Like for me, and people like me, they affect our business. And that's part of the reason why the access and all of that. But what else is new? Where's soccer? What's happening in soccer?
nothing. I mean, it's just.
Is it just a start? I don't know where they are.
Yeah, it's the early part of the season.
When's Ted Lasso back on?
I don't think they're expecting that back this year. I'm not even sure they've started filming the next season.
They missed an opportunity to bring that out before the World Cup this fall.
He just lost his love life, his lover.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
Door to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Friday, and I hope you're having a good one. We are here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. As always, of course, we're brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar, part of the Wow Club. Make sure you sign up for the Wow Club, but get out to Feast. They are located right next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers, offering an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff as they take their pairings seriously. Feast also provides a mouth-watering and wide variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, a coffee bar, bread, and pastries. You will absolutely love it. We're joined now by Zachary Osterman from the Indy Star. He's dealing with the sick kid today, so we may have an extra guest, and that's quite all right because we're family friendly, especially for sick kids. How's which one is it that's sick today?
Jackson. Shh. Daddy's on call. Okay. Just for a minute.
Jackson sick?
He's got a little fever. Yeah.
Yeah, we hate for that. It's never fun for kids to be sick, but we're in week 0, Zach. I mean, college football is here. There's not the thing for IU fans to watch, of course, is watching Illinois as they'll be taking on Wyoming. So I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot depending on how much Wyoming puts up a fight, but there'll at least be something for IU fans to watch and some football for people to watch in general.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine IU fans in particular will watch with interest, at least some interest, that Illinois-Wyoming game. I mean, week 0 as a concept has always sort of confused me. I know that they've always used it, for example, to play that game in Ireland. It's not clear to me why Nebraska doesn't get a week off after that game, but Northwestern does. I thought part of the point of putting that game in week 0 was that if you're going to move your team's 5-6 time zones and play a game overseas, you give them the week off the week after to just basically like recover from the travel and reset their sleep cycles and all that. But one way or the other, I mean, it is kind of just sort of the whetting of the appetite for next weekend, which is again, why is it week 0 and then week 1? I don't know. But you look at the schedule for Labor Day weekend, and obviously there's some really tantalizing games. Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Of course, Indiana will kick off on the Friday night, which I think will be fun, kind of just a different atmosphere for IU fans. But one way or another, it's just, listen, it's what we say every year. It's nice to have college football back on TV.
Absolutely. And, other than Indiana, and Indiana fans have always felt they kind of get screwed by the Big Ten, and they have from here and there, but Nebraska fans could sure have an argument there as well. They get no love from the scheduling. I mean, Scott Frost has made a point of that before, but they get it kind of handed to them too as well.
Yeah, sorry, I'm pulling up their schedule. I'm assuming that this happened in part because Nebraska was supposed to play Illinois in this game last year, and it got put off because COVID was still sort of more of a concern. And Nebraska stayed in the game. I'm not sure exactly why Illinois got out of the game. Obviously, they've got Wyoming. But one way or another, I know that there was a real sort of like effort made on Northwestern's part to say, we're going to agree to be in this game if we can be guaranteed we have the next week off. If we can make it work, make it make sense that we have the next week off. Northwestern's schedule post Dublin all the way up until October is non-conference games. So to some extent they would have had control of that themselves, but I don't know if they had to move games around or something, or ask an opponent to defer a date to years down in the cycle or what. But it is, I mean, like I said, typically in my experience, the reason that you do this, the reason that you have this week 0 sort of game the way you do, is so that the teams that play in it, when possible, don't have something on the backside. They get the week off to recover from all the travel, from the fact that their sleep cycles have been, their sleep schedules have been kind of totally interrupted. I think Nebraska's going to be getting home at something like 6 a.m. Sunday morning Lincoln time, and then they're going to turn around and get ready. And obviously, listen, Nebraska plays North Dakota on September 3rd. That's a game that you need to be winning if you're Nebraska, no matter what. But it's still just the principle of it. And sort of if we're going to continue doing this and sort of exporting the occasional college football game, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as somebody who spends a lot of time, sort of observing English, British, Irish sort of sporting behavior, there is an intense interest in American football in England and Ireland. I don't think there's anything wrong with exporting the game that way, but I think we just need to be fair to the teams involved, and, asking Nebraska to get home basically at sunrise Sunday and then get ready for a 3:30 Saturday, or I guess a local 2:30 Saturday, feels like a lot.
Zach, while Jim is having trouble or is trying to get back onto the stream, I can go ahead and continue this. So, continuing with Nebraska, do you think this pressure on Scott Frost and the program in general, do you think if they end up losing this game to Northwestern in this situation, obviously that's going to mount a whole lot of extra pressure considering the circumstances that they're dealing with this year? How hard is it going to be for them, after what you've already discussed, to kind of get back into, a normal cycle of things, and then already dealing with an early loss to somebody like that in the conference?
Nebraska's really one of the more interesting teams in the conference to me. And I know a lot of people like to poke fun at the whole sort of, Nebraska, this thread that Nebraska has just kind of played on all off season about how I think they lost basically every one of their games last year by a single score, by a touchdown or less. And everybody says, yeah, but you went 3-9. And I understand that to a point. And Nebraska has lost a decent amount and had to replace some stuff through transfers this offseason. But there's sort of this old maxim in soccer that if you win a bunch of games by one goal, that's not sustainable. And eventually you'll stop winning those games. You'll start drawing them because you're only winning by the one goal. That it ignores the possibility that maybe instead of winning by one goal, you start winning by 2 goals or 3 goals. Maybe the margin that you're dancing on is actually you being you underperforming essentially relative to what you should be doing rather than overperforming. And I think that's kind of the question we have about Nebraska. And, if you look at their schedule, it's not hugely dissimilar to to Indiana in the sense that they open with Northwestern, and obviously, as we discussed, that is a sort of a different environment because it's in Europe, it's in Ireland. But then you've got North Dakota and Georgia Southern and Oklahoma all at home. In fact, you've got basically the next 4 weeks, North Dakota, Georgia Southern, Oklahoma, and Indiana all at home. Then you go to Rutgers. You play Purdue on the road. Purdue right now might be the favorite in the West. They're certainly kind of in that mix, but it does feel a little bit like they've lost enough between George Karlaftis and David Bell that we're not quite sure what they are. Then you've got Illinois at home on October 29th. Your last four are Minnesota at home, Michigan on the road, Wisconsin at home, Iowa on the road. My point is, not unlike Indiana, where we're looking at the first 7, maybe 8 weeks and saying, if this is going to be a good season, if this is going to be a successful season, you've really got to make hay while the sun shines in September and maybe early mid-October. Nebraska's in a very similar position. Obviously that Oklahoma game kind of looms in a way, but it's at home. Oklahoma's going to have some question marks. I don't think we can be absolutely sure of what they are under Brent Venables in his first season. If you can start 3-0 and it's reasonable for Nebraska to aim for that, then maybe you can jump Oklahoma on September 17th. And even if you can't, you've then got Indiana at home and Rutgers on the road. There's a roadmap to 5-1, maybe even 6-0 if you're Nebraska. And then suddenly the conversation around Scott Frost changes. And he is allowed to look back at last season and say, see, that was proof that we were beginning to find our way, and we just kind of had all the margins go against us. On the other hand, you lose to Northwestern, you lose to Oklahoma. Let's say Indiana is better than expected and sneaks up and beats you on October 1st. Then you're 2-3, and it starts to really look like maybe the road back is nigh on impossible for Frost. And so I think it's just kind of, like I said, Nebraska's in a similar situation to Indiana, where I think that if it's going to be the kind of season they want it to be, and quite possibly the kind of season Scott Frost needs it to be, then by October 7th, when they play Rutgers, they probably need to, by the end of that game, they probably need to have at least 5 wins. Maybe 4.
Yeah.
You could maybe get away with that, but I'm not sure 6-6, by itself is enough to save Frost this year. And those last 4 games of the season all look very difficult, at least on paper right now. Nebraska's sort of similar to Indiana in that regard.
Yeah, and he's not doing himself any favors by saying silly things in his press conferences like how many vomits per practice that some of his players are.
Yeah, that stuff like that is just, it's very antiquated thinking, and I'm guessing that. Give me 1 second, buddy. I'm guessing that was probably it probably sort of tongue in cheek, or maybe him thinking it sounded better to exaggerate those numbers. But that kind of stuff is just not going to endear you to anybody in the modern context. And it just is, it's not necessary. It's not even just sort of, it's not even the sort of like, well, are players being coddled too much or, anything like that. I mean, it's even more fundamentally than that. It is the kind of work smarter, not harder. That we've, and you've seen, like, for example, Indiana embraced this under David Ballou and Matt Ray and then Aaron Wellman. And it's not like it works all the time, but this broader idea that, the way for a program to use the way they train and condition their players to maybe get an edge, a leg up, is not just to be more intense and make things harder. It's to try and be smarter and find out that, find ways that basically maybe you're doing less work, but the work you're doing is much more beneficial. And it's getting guys in better shape. It's protecting them more from injury, all those different kinds of things. That's the future here, is basically just using science. And when you start bragging about, we make them puke a lot, not only is that obviously unappealing to recruits and things like that, but it's also just sort of like, it makes you sound kind of like a dinosaur, frankly.
Jim, you're back with us?
Yeah, right in time to talk about some puking. So just perfect timing. That was, I don't know what happened there. But
so we were talking, I had mentioned he was going on about Scott Frost. And last week, Scott Frost in one of his press conferences mentioned that there were about 15 to 20 vomits per practice, and talking about why do you say something like that to the media. That's just the gist of what that was about.
Yeah, he's never been great with the media. He's concerned about his team. He has great reason to be concerned. He's got to win this year. He's got a lot of pressure on him. They had a rough season last year where they had 3-9 and had every game that they lost was
I think
one
7 games they lost by 1 possession.
But more importantly, Indiana. I mean, if I don't want to fall into that trap of getting excited for Indiana football, because that's, what happens. But they beat Illinois. They go 3-0. They go to a weekend Cincinnati team. Who knows what happens? Who's going to be the starter? That's the big question. I've always thought it was going to be Connor Bazelak, but Jack Tuttle has been here and he is fighting and has been a leader, Zach. I think that probably will bode into that decision. We've seen him show leadership capabilities with the, right after last season, him going into Tom's office with the presentation and all that. So that probably will play into whomever is the heir apparent.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think at a fundamental level, and it's important to remember Bazelak's been around since January, so it's not like he hasn't had time to build, a lot of that relationship that he needs as well. But I do think you need your quarterback. You need those intangibles from your quarterback. You need a quarterback that you can trust to be able to organize and to lead and to inspire and to motivate. It's clear Tuttle has the respect of his teammates. It's clear that he's confident in filling that role and being that player, maybe even though it's not like he's ever been kind of QB1 outright before. And I'm not picking on him, to be clear, but sometimes a guy needs to be sort of the named starter for a period of time before they're willing to, even a quarterback sometimes, before they're willing to get up and really like stand and deliver sort of like a message or a real sort of call to action to teammates. Tuttle's never seemed to have a problem being a guy that spoke up and asked teammates to lead him to follow him, I should say. And I think that is a commendable quality. But again, Jackson, just a minute, please. Sorry about that. But I think that at the same time, I mean, it's also worth remembering Bazelak has been starting quarterback in the SEC. It's not like he's unfamiliar with those qualities as well. And it's not like he hasn't had the time to build those relationships in Bloomington. So you would imagine that either one of them could bring that to the table, and it just might be a question. If that is a factor that weighs heavily in, and it might be, it's just a question of maybe who's doing it better.
What's up next for you, Zach?
I'm just trying to knock out this fever more than anything else.
That's what I was going to say, taking care of the kiddos. Well, brother, good luck with that, Jackson. We hope you get feeling better, man. And Zach, we cannot thank you enough as always as well. Look forward to doing it again and seeing you soon. As I'm sure I'll probably see you Monday, but looking forward to it, man.
Do you want to say anything before we sign off?
I hope you feel better, Jackson.
Thank you. I think I will. But have I seen him?
No.
That's
all right.
A good positive thought. He's got a positive attitude at least. Have a great
week,
guys. Zach. We appreciate you, buddy. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star. Make sure you give him a follow and be a subscriber. I am. Keep local papers alive. We've got plenty more coming up on this fantastic Friday as Mitchell Paige and Jeffrey the Greek will join us a little later. Looking forward to that. We've got to take a break now, of course, brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar, located next door to Southern Stone at Patterson and Rogers, offering an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff as they take their pairing seriously, as well as gourmet offerings of many other kinds as well. They are a part of the WOW Club, so make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up today. Start earning WOW rewards now. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore.
Oh, by the way, don't forget to send me the new Andy Moore this weekend.
Oh, shit. Hey, no, you got to send me a list of everything I need. I sent that email to you.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me look at that again real quick.
And so I need you to respond to that with exactly what we need.
Okay.
And then I'll use that as my deal.
All right. Cool.
I tried to. The commercials that would be for the radio will be different than the network.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Bubba's 33 does not need to be playing on the show sent to the ref. Reynolds does not need to be in the show sent to the ref.
Okay, I got you.
See how if you look at the email, you'll see how.
I see.
I don't want Bubba's in there, especially because there is now a Bubba's there. And I'm like, I'm not giving him free advertising. Why the hell have they ever? God dang it.
Now, are you still keeping it at 3 minutes per break? Or do you care if it's more than 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. There's 12 minutes total. 6 total each hour for us. 6 minutes total. Each hour. 12 minutes total.
We run 5 breaks, though. That totals about 15.
All right. So that's even better. We just got to fill them. We'll talk about it.
Very nice by Bill Anderson. Personal touch the show provides. Refreshing. Appreciate it, Bill.
Anybody's welcome to come help me move.
When are you moving?
Shit, I have been.
So on Monday for the show, will you be in your new place?
I don't know.
All right, here we go.
2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday. Hope you're having a good one. Michael, hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Larry, down in Georgia. Tim, Jason, Tanis, Five Lefts, Dwayne, Robert, Dave G, Ross, Renata, there's Steve, Bill. Appreciate you guys. Let's see. I saw Dave G. I saw that he asked about the fight yesterday between Cincinnati and LA and football. Man, I didn't even look at. I saw that it happened, that the practice ended because of it. I was like, I just shrugged my shoulders and said, who cares? That stuff happens all the time in NFL practice. Hell, it happens in NFL practices with your own teams. So you hear about that all the time. It's spring. It's a high tension atmosphere. Guys are fighting for their jobs. Guys are fighting for their livelihoods. And this is not a $15 an hour job. That's why the tensions are so high. Those guys see this as life and death, so to speak. The Buffalo Bills punt god appears. Oh, yeah. May wish they didn't cut Hack, who is now a Colt. Yeah, I saw that. He is a former member of, was it Arizona State? I think. I can't remember for sure, so I don't want to throw them under the bus. But 3 former players accused of rape in 2021, and I believe his name was on that list. Indiana soccer, men's soccer, opening up their 50th season tonight on the road at the defending national champion and number 1 ranked Clemson Tigers. That's not a tough way to start your season, but that's what Indiana soccer does. That's why they are who they are. We were talking about Nebraska earlier. Steve P says Nebraska's been down for about 5 years, but they are still a blue blood. 908 wins versus 409 losses and 40 all time, 2 national championships. Thinks they'll be good this year. I agree with you. They are a blue blood. But like Indiana in basketball, who is also a blue blood, it's time to come back. There will be a time where if there's no resurgence, you used to be a blue blood. Indiana basketball is a lot closer to being back to that than Nebraska football. But I don't know. I mentioned a minute ago, Nebraska was 3-9 last year with 8 games decided by a single possession. We'll talk about more of this later with the guys, but could they have gone 9-3 instead? That's Indiana has to go to Nebraska. Indiana's got a tough stretch. I mean, let's say they win this first game against Illinois and they're 3-0. Well, now you got to go to Cincinnati. Do you know who you follow that up with? A game at Nebraska. So, Indiana fans, I would pay attention to not only the Illinois game this weekend, but the Nebraska Northwestern game. That could be an interesting game, really. Looking forward to it. Bill, we appreciate you. Not exactly. I was probably talking about Zach's kids, but hey, man, we're all good. We always have when Jordan's on with us, was on with us from Germany. We have his kids on all the time. Ross says why he's not a soccer fan. IU women's soccer, 3 straight games ending 0-0. Too much excitement for me. Well, the score is not the excitement. It's I understand that mindset. I'm not dissing you in any way, Ross. I get it because I was kind of the same way for a long time. My daughter played soccer, as I've said many times on here, and I remember taking her to a professional level game similar to the Indy 11 down in Louisville, and that instantly changed from a sports perspective, my opinion on that. I saw firsthand up close what it was like. Knowing the rules is a big part of it, but as long as there's no flopping going on, that drives me god awfully insane. See, Tim says there's 7 IU football players named to watch. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Travis joins us. Caleb Nost. Oh, it's also a Super Bowl rematch. There you go. Bill says, yeah, you have no idea how much I appreciate this show and the insight it provides. Well, Bill, you have no idea how much we appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you immensely. Gino jumping on with us out in Gilbert, Arizona, as he always does. He's ready for those Vegas tickets to go on sale Saturday. That's glad you brought that up, Gino. Hey, man, I hope you try to hit. I'm going out Wednesday, by the way. My ticket is purchased. I've been screwing around with that for 3 weeks, trying to get that done. Finally done. I don't have to worry about that now. But I'm going out Wednesday because the National Finals Rodeo is going on at the same time in Las Vegas at the Thomas and Mack. And I used to be out there every year working in the media department during the National Finals Rodeo. That's why this game's not being played at Thomas and Mack, because I think UNLV's on the undercard or the overcard, whatever the hell they were going to call it. But yeah, the National Finals Rodeo is going on over at the Thomas and Mack. So I'm going to head out there on Wednesday and Thursday. Well, maybe not Wednesday. Depends on when I get in, but Thursday and Friday for sure. May be able to make it over for Saturday night because I think this game's in the afternoon, right? Well, there's some international sports news. Tim, Iran allows women to attend Tehran's soccer game. So there you go. Wyatt hitting us up as well. Paul Goldschmidt now leading the National League in batting average and RBIs. He's one home run shy of the leader, who is Kyle Schwarber. He's on the Triple Crown watch, but I got to tell you, I won't be pulling for him, man. I'll be pulling for Schwarbs to get that. That's a great title to have. I mean, that's a home run leader for a season in the major leagues. Hell yeah. I mean, that's something. Speaking of which, as we head down, the season winding down, where are we? The Reds have been just sucking it up. I've seen that they've been losing to the Phillies. But where are any races getting tight? Let's see, down in the National League Central. No, man. You talk about a fade job, man. The Brewers. Holy crap. They are just jumped into the sewer. 6 games back of the Cardinals. Now, they were leading this division for most of the year. Cardinals won 8 of their last 10 games. The Dodgers just running away from the Padres, though. But the Padres are still going to make the playoffs. The Padres are 19 and a half games out of first place behind the Dodgers in the National League West. But they've got 68 wins. That is 3 more than the Brewers. And, they're going to squeak in because the National League East is incredibly tight or good. The Mets, of course, on top of the Braves by 2 games with 80 wins. The Braves have won 78 games. The Phillies have won 70 games, the last couple over the Reds. But they're standing to make the playoffs. The Braves, the Phillies, and right now it's the Padres over the Brewers. Couple looks like a 3-game lead over. So the Brewers, they're just gonna, golly, that division just stinks. It stinks to high heaven. Up in the at the top, of course, the Yankees. They 5-5 out of their last 10 games. Tampa Bay making a run, man. They've won 8 out of their last 10. They're now 7.5 games back of the Yankees. Will they catch them? Yeah. I mean, the Yankees would have to just continue to slide. I don't know that I see that happening. There's no way the Yankees don't make the playoffs regardless. But speaking of playoffs in the American League, Tampa Bay is going to make it either way. But, well, Toronto, out of that same division, they've got 68 wins. Tied with the Mariners. So Tampa Bay is going to go for sure as a wild card. I would say Toronto is going to make it as a wild card. They've got 68 wins, which ties them with Seattle, which would be the 3rd playoff spot. But how about this? If Baltimore could go on a run, they are 4th, next to last in the American League East. But they're 65-59. They're only 11.5 games out of the Yankees. There could theoretically be 4 teams in the American League East make the playoffs. We got to take a break because we've got Freaky Friday coming up. We're brought to you by our good friends from Barber Pop Real Estate Services down in Southern Indiana, Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison counties. Looking for a home down there. They've served that area for 3 decades. They know it inside and out, and they can get you in the home that you want to be in. Reach out to Matt Lincoln, matt@barberpop.com. We're back with Freaky Friday. Jeffrey the Greek, Mitchell Paige, myself, and more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
Good morning, Jeffrey the Greek.
How we doing?
You know, we're doing.
How I sound?
Sound great.
Great.
Better than me. And I don't really sound fantastic, but you sound great.
Oh, dude, your pipes always sound good.
Well, I mean, my setup.
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, I can hear you pretty good.
I just have this. What I really should do eventually is put those little I don't even know what you call them, but you put them on your wall, and they're like little fluffy pieces of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What's up, Mitch? Mitchapalooza, MP5.
Good morning. We're back, baby.
That's right.
That's right.
The long national nightmare is almost over.
Getting up and seeing your tweets for the last 2 weeks, Jeffrey, has just made it.
Yeah?
I mean, my energy is
that.
through the roof. I was excited, and then all the little footballs. Oh, man.
What drives me nuts is I hate on Twitter when you put it on the first screen, it spaces out different than when you tweet it, and it messes up. So like the footballs are out of place when you click on it, but when it is on the Twitter screen, it looks framed. You're right.
Yes.
Finally, somebody's like, I just got to tell you, thanks for tweeting these out, but that football that's off when I click on it really drives me nuts. And I'm like, I'm with you, man.
Mitch, did you see my meme in the group chat with you and Dustin? You never responded.
Yeah, it didn't deserve a response.
You thought it was funny. It didn't deserve a response?
It was mean. And I can't believe I didn't know it was your birthday.
I don't really, advertise it to people. So
yeah.
My wife is a big birthday person, and I could just go with never.
And so is my wife. So like when I treat her birthday the way that I treat my birthday, that's not a good thing.
No.
Look at this handsome fella.
I know. Looking good.
I like that shirt.
Thank you. It's got a nice fresh coffee stain on it. Not showing it too
I
bad.
know the true genius of Jim. He just like dresses down, and then when he dresses up, everybody's like, "Damn!" That's how he does it.
I mean, that's just
you got to do something when you got little to work with. You got to really dress it up.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday. TGIF. Time for a little Freaky Friday, baby. My man Mitchell Paige joining us, as is Jeffrey the Greek.
What's up?
Eyes on Big podcast with his man Big Kurt.
Yeah.
How's it going, boys?
Oh,
awesome.
if I were any happier, I'd be twins.
Guess what?
Are you
what?
What's up with you, man? How's your week been? I know this has been a big week. We're back to college football. I'm sure you've talked about it all show, but I'm going to renew the enthusiasm. I was telling Jeffrey off air that his tweets with the little footballs around it, even though they're maybe a little bit funky when you click on them, have just totally just ignited some excitement for college football. And I can't wait to watch Nebraska and Northwestern. I mean,
I was just talking about that game at the end of the last break. I haven't thought a lot about it because I haven't had time, but now it's here. I'm like, I'm really looking forward to watching that game. I mean, I need to watch Illinois, but I'm looking forward to watching the Northwestern Nebraska game. For one, because the coolness of the fact it's going to be in Ireland,
right?
James Patrick Coyle here. But did you see Northwestern's helmet decals?
Amazing.
No.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Oh yeah.
Absolutely
It was your tweet, Jeffrey, that I retweeted or whatever. He called it, as the kids call it, fire. Is that right?
That's right. That's when you know you're crossing into coolness.
Northwestern, they just had that unique fonted in on their helmets. Well, the left side is green, the middle is white, and the right side is orange, the color of the Irish flag, man. It was like, boom.
Oh.
Well, Nebraska could do the same thing.
Yeah, I think Nebraska. I don't know what Nebraska's doing. One update I have is that both teams will be wearing their home uniforms. So full purple, full red.
All right, that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
Purple and red in a country that is green, white, and orange.
Well, what I said on the pod is I think the purple and red contrast each other well. So but that's been typically when it's a purple home uniform and just the red pants.
It's
but
probably it's probably for the fans, I bet.
Yeah.
Over in Ireland, especially, that it's going to be interesting to see the turnout.
Yeah, a Nebraska fan, of course, DM'd me a video of whatever a local TV station or whoever, I don't know who the production that was putting it on, but somebody from Lincoln or Omaha, whatever. And they're just walking around the streets of Dublin, and people are drinking and partying.
I think that's from WBIR, W Beer.
Yeah. Okay. But they're firing up the locals, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to the game now." I think Casey Thompson's
the American football game. See about it.
It's awesome. I hope. You would think.
I may take my shillelagh and see what happens.
But I don't know about you guys, but and I think Jim's already kind of said it, but I love it. As an Iowa fan, you guys are, Hoosier fans by and large. The fact that you get Big Ten football, but it's not our squads playing. I have almost as much excitement as I would have, going into watching an Iowa game, but you have a little bit of the stress removed. I absolutely love week 0.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Why should there ever be a week 0? Why can't just start week 1? Damn it,
Jim, come on. Oh, you're tinkling on our parade here, man.
But why can't it? I just have to ask. Why can't it not be week 1?
Why can't there be a week -1, baby? Let's just have one.
We have to go next if they play before this. If there was ever to be another, remember they used to have the Chick-fil-A college football kickoff thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if they did that before, that would have to be in week -1.
I played in a kickoff classic in Arrowhead Stadium. It was 175 degrees on the field that day.
I love that. Did you pass out?
I didn't play enough to pass out. See, that was the true genius of me,
I think that's sneaky underrated. I did that for my first 3 years as well. You never really get tired at the games. You get to go to all these cool places. I say it was more strategy than just not being good enough. I think I just didn't want to get too tired.
Right. I had a free scholarship to have the best seats in the house, man. Who's not going to take that deal up? Can we talk about the Northwestern Nebraska game? Just a tick. Is that good?
Why would we not?
Yeah,
I can't be talked out of the under. I love the under 50.5. I think both teams are going to try to establish the run. I think both teams are going to be.
The under is 50.5 between Nebraska and Northwestern. Those powerhouses of offense.
I know this isn't a gambling podcast, but it feels like that's a trap. That is just so high that it's so obvious to take the under.
Game, man. How
50
score in a first game
for college football. 50 is kind of a low over under.
Well, that's normal, but this is Northwestern and Nebraska, number 1. It's a first game, number 2.
Yep.
They've
All the
sold
reasons
it
why.
down.
I mean, all the reasons why I like the under. I mean, I don't know how sloppy the field will be, but I just picture the players are.
I just
off.
can't imagine both teams being successful offensively. Like that's a lot of that's 6 touchdowns, between those two teams or
and
better.
I think that's what Mitchell's alluding to is it seems too damn obvious. But I just will not be talked out of it. I think there's a chance that Nebraska blows out Northwestern, but even if that's the case, they got to turn around and play a game next week. I think Frost starts, running the ball and taking starters out. So to me, that's like a 35-10 or 13 game. That's still an under. I mean, the only way I think this goes over is if it's just a classic, like 27-24.
Wait a minute.
You just even then, that's barely over.
Northwestern and Nebraska.
What's that?
You just used the word classic referencing a game regarding Nebraska and Northwestern.
Jim, I'm not even sure if you're a college football fan anymore. That's what I'm starting to kind of wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to slander the Big Ten West teams when I'm not here, I couldn't care less. But dude, this is college football. This is college football. Let's go, man. That's why I'm on this segment. I want to talk college football. It
is on at 12:30 on Fox, man.
Yep.
What time?
I have never
not bad over there. So that means it's probably 6 at night over there. So that's not bad.
Yep. I have never experienced as much pent-up demand and excitement from college football fans than they have right now. Why
is that? I would have thought that would have been last year, the first year out of COVID.
It was still weird last year. They were forcing things on players. Nobody knew what was everybody was still weirded out. It's all that BS is behind us now. Everybody knows everybody's playing a 12-game schedule. It is full go. We haven't experienced this since 2019. And anybody, like I explained to my 6-year-old, sometimes you don't understand how good something is until you have it taken away. We've all gone through that the past 2 years. It is full go right now. Week 0 is awesome. We got 3 Big Ten teams playing. You can watch football from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. or noon till 2.
I just wrote down, which I'm on real people time, but that's noon to 2 a.m. in the rest of the world. But I just wrote that down. You can watch college football, get up, make yourself a little brunch, kick back, and you could stay there and just order Uber Eats until 2 a.m.
So as the saying goes, you can't say you drank all day unless you start in the morning. You guys can't say you watch college football all day unless you start in the morning. So that's the advantage that us Central Time Zoners have over you guys.
Well, I will tell you, I will not be watching football all day because fortunately I am playing in the Peggy Sherrill Memorial Golf Outing on Saturday down in Floyd Knobs at Valley View Golf Course.
I would rather eat a golf ball than go golfing and miss college football on Saturday.
Well, this is a great event that I'm looking forward to.
Up right now. We need to feed off of his energy, Jim.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Pretty good. You're trying to bring us down a little bit, Jim.
I'm talking about an event I'm going to. A charity event. I had to sneak that in there.
That was
talk about that again later. All right, besides the obvious, we've got Illinois and Wyoming.
Yeah.
All right, first of all, I don't think we can say what to expect from the Northwestern Nebraska game. I think Nebraska has to win that game. I guess they don't have to win it convincingly, but they have to win that game or Scott Frost it's the same with Indiana. Indiana has to win the Illinois game. They're the same to me.
You guys remember Michael Flatley, the Lord of the Dance?
I don't.
You guys don't remember the Irish dancing where their legs move like crazy and their upper body stays.
I know what that is, yeah.
That's the dance Scott Frost would have to do for Trev Alberts to keep his job if he doesn't win this game. that was an Irish joke. That's an Irish dancing joke. I guess it was a little too nuanced.
It just took me a little while.
A little too nuanced. I'll bring her down here on a Friday. I came ready to go today, man. I don't know about you guys.
All right, so there's not a lot of big games this weekend, but there's games. So we've got. I'm surprised that they haven't put a bigger game, actually a big game on this day. If you're going to have it, why not at least have a prime time, big time game? We've got
Northwestern and Nebraska are both Power 5 teams in the Big Ten, Jim. Are you aware of that? Are you aware this is Power 5 football? Like this is a conference game that's being played. This is a big game. Ask any Nebraska fan if this is a big game. This is a huge game to them, and Northwestern as well. Heck, Illinois, Wyoming is a big game.
I think of Nebraska fans, and every time I think of Nebraska, I'm like, yeah, well, we could, but maybe we can't, because have you ever seen the T-Mobile commercials? They have the map up, their 5G coverage.
Right.
It's got the entire United States covered except for one big old square right in the middle of the United States. It's white as can be. That would be Nebraska.
No,
so it's kind of hard to communicate there.
Mostly Western Nebraska, but that's funny.
No, it's the whole damn state. It's crazy, other than
Omaha.
Yeah. All right, Northwestern Nebraska. Who are you picking? I'm taking Nebraska. They have to win that game. And Scott Frost, his butt is on the line. I think that they were better than they looked last year, but whatever reason they could not win. But I still think they win this game.
I got Nebraska 27-16, because whenever Northwestern's involved, it's got to be somewhat of a goofy score like that. So I got Nebraska. I think you'll know that Nebraska is the better team simply because I don't see Northwestern having the options on the outside for their passing attack to be able to touch up Nebraska too much. Nebraska's weakness in my mind is in the secondary. I don't think, Northwestern can take advantage. I think it's a bad matchup for Northwestern. But I also think Nebraska is going to be figuring some stuff out at offense, like Jim kind of talked about. So, it won't be the most aesthetically pleasing game, but in the end, I think everybody will know Nebraska's the better team.
Yeah, I think this is like a perfect – Jim's like, why don't they have a quote-unquote big game? This is the perfect game to relatively ease us into college football. They're going to be physical. You talked about establishing the run, especially a team like Nebraska that felt like they had a lot more wins in the tank last year that just didn't happen. They're going to try to assert some sort of physical dominance, and Northwestern always plays physical. They don't always have the best teams, but they were always one of the most physical teams that we would play, and kind of sneaky that way. So you're going to see some people just banging. Man, I just can't. I can't wait to watch those guys banging. I'll be
Mitchell, you want to come over to the downstairs athletic club tomorrow and watch with Kurt and I? You're invited, man. See, that's the excitement. That's the excitement we need.
They're going to be banging, and it just is. It's the kind of game that the Big Ten. You get to broadcast the Big Ten on national TV in front of a national audience to kind of establish that this is the kind of league we're going to be. And they're bottom teams, I suppose, just like Indiana was last year. So I feel the excitement for that fan base. And, man, what pressure that you alluded to on Scott Frost. He needs something to happen. And I totally agree. Nebraska – I think the spread is 13?
It is exactly 11.5 at the moment.
11.5.
11.5. Okay. I take Nebraska.
Against
the spread, and just hope for some points, but I expect it to be like 17.
See, now
or something.
Jeffrey has a score of 27-16. That's beating the spread by half a point.
That is my little clue that I do not like that spread one way or the other. But I tell you what, if you force it down my throat, honestly, well, I'm picking. I should say 28-16 then, I guess, because that would be picking by a half point. But I would stay away, but I wouldn't fight anybody for taking Nebraska.
Wyoming and Illinois. Illinois, a 13-point favorite at home. Interesting. Yep. They're not giving them the 2 touchdowns.
That started out as low as 9.5 in some spots. Wow. So I think people started actually looking into Wyoming. Craig Bull's a great coach, but they have had a mass exodus of talent, of which I've barely ever seen before out of Wyoming. I mean, we're talking like 3 of their starting defensive backs, their top 2 wide receivers, their quarterback, like everybody took off. I think Illinois has been my there's many sleeper teams like Minnesota. Then there's deep sleeper teams. Illinois is a deep sleeper team.
Yeah,
Illinois is a deep sleeper team.
Yeah, I mean, not to win the Big Ten or anything like that, but to go to a bowl game.
So
That's
you're
not what
so,
Indiana
so
did
you're
one
going
year.
to pick them to beat Indiana, then I would imagine.
Let's just wait till next week, Phil, before we get so far with that. But
I'm just saying,
yeah,
going by that, if for them to go to a bowl game, they're going to have to beat Indiana. I haven't even looked at their schedule, but
I have that predicted right now. But I give myself the option to change that if Illinois gets beat by Wyoming. So, like I said, we gotta.
No. What if they lose to Indiana?
Well, then they're not going to a bowl, I don't think, at that point. So that's a huge game for both Illinois and Indiana. Okay, so right there. Next week. Okay, you just agreed with me that Illinois, Indiana is a big game next week, right? Okay, now put yourself
programs.
Yeah, now put yourself in the shoes of Nebraska Northwestern fans. That's why they think this is a
For
big
those
game.
programs, yes. But outside of that,
We're
that bubble, it's not. But this game's going to be fun to watch because of where it is.
Yeah,
I'm
and it's a
looking forward
conference
to it.
game.
Don't
I mean,
worry, I'm
I
looking
would be
forward to watching
excited.
college football.
I'd be excited to watch this if it was Kansas State, Oklahoma State, something like that, or Kansas State, teams that are fine but a little bit lower tier. I would be stoked to watch that as well.
Me too. I'm also in the middle of moving, so that is not helping things.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's got to be an underlying issue for all this.
It's
Hey,
not
Jim.
helping things at all. It sucks.
Suffer in silence here.
Yeah.
Jim. Don't take the joy down.
All right, so UNLV, Idaho State. That's a 3:30 game on CBS Sports Network. Utah State, UConn. That's a 4 o'clock game. Illinois.
Now there's a game that I might not check out too much. Some of those I don't even see on my TV offering, and I better freaking have that game package at my house, and I still can't even get that one.
The Illinois-Wyoming game is a 4 o'clock tilt on the Big Ten Network. Florida State playing Duquesne, Florida Atlantic, and Charlotte. Now, Charlotte they're interesting. They're a program that just started like 5 years ago.
Charlotte, yeah.
They're only 5 years old. My brother was the head of security for them for a long time. Seriously, he's a state trooper.
Does he play linebacker too? Because that's what it looks like for those guys. They give up a whopping amount of points. I like the over in that game, by the way.
Well, they're playing Florida Atlantic, and they are only a 7.5 point underdog.
Yeah, and I think it's a 60-point over under, and I still like the over.
Wow.
Yeah,
really? Do you think Florida Atlantic is just going to score a ton of points?
I think they're both going to score a ton of points for the over, but yeah, I think Florida Atlantic might put up 40 on their own.
Really?
Yep.
It's back to betting season, peeps.
There is no off season in betting, although there kind of is with me. I have to cut myself off after the NFL playoffs are done. Otherwise, it's healthier. It's healthier for my house and environment.
The North Texas Mean Green taking on the UTEP Miners. There you go. Boy, there's a game. There's a toss-up.
I tell you another cool. You guys want another cool thing? Speaking of brothers, my brother is in Hawaii for work, and he's going to the Vanderbilt Hawaii game for the last game of the night.
That's what I'm talking about.
Vanderbilt is a 9-point favorite over the Rainbow Warriors.
I'm a closet Vanderbilt fan. My dad graduated from Vanderbilt, so
okay. Got a smart person in the family, huh?
Yeah. Well, one of us has to be. It can't just be a bunch of me's. We get nowhere.
I think that Vanderbilt's actually got a pretty good staff hired. It's going to take some time for them to get it going. But if you want to deep dive sicko bet, I like the first half under 27 in that Vanderbilt Hawaii game, or excuse me, over 27.
Jeffrey is a closet dinner gambler. I mean, he is looking at all the lines, all the spread.
I'm out of the closet, man. I got a scarf on. The whole world. I got a whistle. Everybody sees me, man.
That's a lot of first half point. Well, I guess not really.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going off in that game?
I think so.
It's only a 54. The total over and under is 54 points.
Yep. I mean, I like the over both first half, but I have small kids, so I predict that I'm going to be getting a bit tuckered out by about 11:30 midnight or so. So I'm loving the first half, so that I can figure out if I made or lost money by before midnight.
New Mexico State Aggies hosting the Nevada Wolfpack.
So that game's kind of interesting for Big Ten fans because New Mexico State, coached by Jerry Kill, they play Minnesota next week.
Minnesota coach.
Yep. And Nevada plays Iowa in 3 weeks. So those are kind of interesting games to watch. I love the under 48.5 in that game. Everything's new for both of those teams. Like there might be the 3 most mass exited teams playing when Wyoming, New Mexico State, and Nevada. All of those players have took off from those programs. So one would think that would lead to a lot of figuring out process on offense. So I like the under in that game.
I need to get your picks. Do you tweet out your picks?
I do for the Big Ten. I had a profitable season last season.
What we're going to do, we're going to get a little group text and he can send them to us, the good ones. And then I think you should start working on the Greeks picks and we'll do the Greeks picks.
Twist my rubber arm, buddy. I mean, I'm already doing it.
I was gonna say, I feel like he's giving us all the picks. You guys better.
Well, we're just going over some games because there's not a lot. Because it's back and it's exciting. But now, if you really want to get excited, we can just. Well, we've got another segment, so we got to take a break, right, John? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take just to open an eye and take a peek towards next week because it starts on Thursday, folks. It's early. Take a little look-see. Jeffrey the Greek, Mitchell Paige is with us. Brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company, part of the WOW Club, of course. Metalworks Brewing, located just off the square, is a culmination of passion for beer, food, and custom metalwork, alongside a desire to be actively involved in the beauty Bloomington community. Recently launched in June, Metalworks Brewing Company has been in the works for several months. It's transitioning from a staple in Bloomington, the old Function Brewing Company, located just off the square. Make sure you stop by and join the WOW Club first, as you can start earning WOW rewards today. Back with Mitchell and Jeffrey the Greek right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
I thought you all were about to take him out to the slaughterhouse.
I was ready to. He was bringing us down.
Right.
I'm excited. We're going to watch people run around on a field, smash into each other, which is I'm excited about hitting. I hate contact. I fell on the ground. People would come near me. Fell on the ground when anyone was around me. And even I am excited for people to run into each other.
That's funny.
Like, what are we talking about?
I mean, Jim, that was getting up into wife level wet blanket that you were throwing at us there.
At what point?
You know what that was? That was the male version of, are you going to watch football all day? Is this what you're going to do all day?
You should have done that on the air. But when did I say that? I'm just going through. I've got too much stuff.
No, you said. Right now. I definitely understood what you were saying. You want to see Ohio State or Clemson, but I think
I'm surprised that because they used to have the Chick-fil-A kickoff thing. There was a big game, and I'm just a little surprised since they're having a week.
I actually having. Maybe we could talk about this after the break, but I put out my commissioner of college football plan the other day, where it would still be week 0. Thursday night, so last night would be a group of 5 matchup. Friday night, a group of 5 matchup. Couple more group of 5 matchups, maybe a P5 versus group of 5 in the afternoon. And then at night, it would be awesome. Florida State, Florida State, Boston. I don't know. I don't think you're going to get, Alabama, Clemson.
Well, nobody wants to play that first game against a tough one because it's so hard.
But you have to live in reality. So basically, try to get the best matchup you can to be the night game. It's probably going to be Nebraska Northwestern is what we're going to wind up with. But Kansas, like a Kansas State TCU, that would have been a better one to come up
An
with.
awesome game.
Right. Something like that, like Kansas State TCU.
Now,
would
see,
be
now that we're off the air, you're agreeing with me. How funny is that?
I don't think there's any discernible difference between K-State, TCU, and Northwestern and Nebraska. I agree. It's basically the same thing.
And we're also John and I.
TCU has a quarterback that should be at Indiana right now.
Who's that?
They got one that should be in Iowa right now.
Oh, Josh Hoover.
Oh, you love Josh Hoover.
Yeah.
But how awesome would it be to see Adrian Martinez, like the first time in a purple uniform for that night game? That would be incredible.
Adrian Martinez from Nebraska?
Yeah, he's starting quarterback at Kansas State.
Gosh, he needs
Isn't he 100 years? He's
I was going to say, wait a minute, in purple, is he playing for freaking Northwestern?
Nope. That would be amazing.
There
we go. Yep.
On the homepage or on this station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Friday before week 0 of college football, baby. We're all excited. I'm excited. They just don't think I'm excited. Jeffrey the Greek with me, as always, on Friday, as is my man Mitchell Paige. As we always try to have fun here each and every Friday. And what's that?
It's gonna be fun.
Nope.
Week 1, starting out with Purdue, Penn State.
That's the first thing on my mind. Let's see. Yeah, these Thursdays, because week 1 starts next Thursday. So we're not that far away.
No,
and as a matter of fact, obviously that's going to happen before we get a chance to reconvene. So you've got 22 ranked Wake Forest playing, 17th ranked Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Number 12, Oklahoma State, and they're playing Central Michigan. But Tennessee playing
Central
Ball
Michigan
State.
a couple years ago
What's
at
that?
home. They got beat by Central Michigan a couple years ago at home on a Hail Mary.
Who did?
Oklahoma State.
That's right. I remember that. That was a crazy game.
They had the pitch back, and then it was, I think, Corey Davis's older brother, Titus Davis is his name. I think he got the pitch and ran it in as time expired.
Yeah, great pull.
But some more. It starts to ramp up next Thursday, man.
It'll be interesting watching
Hoosier
Hoosier
fans.
fans.
Games that day too. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games next Thursday.
Wow.
Starting at 6 p.m. And again, you can watch football from 6 until 1:30 in the morning.
What'll be interesting is Hoosier fans being Penn State fans for Thursday night when they play Purdue. Even with Penn State being in the East, I got to think a lot of Hoosier fans are going to be cheering for them to beat Purdue.
I'm kind of interesting.
They would cheer for anyone.
I'm going to be honest. I disagree. I like when Purdue wins games like that, because then we get a chance at the end of the year to have when that game really matters. I can't remember which year it was, but we were both 5-7 or 5-6 or whatever it was.
And that not very long ago that a bowl game was on the line. I think it was a couple years in a row.
Yeah. So I want Purdue to don't win too many games, but when they had their down years, just like we have our down years, and the game just kind of it always means something.
That's going to give you some concerns about having to play them.
And then that's interesting. That's not what I would expect. I mean, I want Iowa State to lose literally every single football contest they play, so I can point.
Yeah, I don't think, but most Indiana fans are not thinking that way.
I was going to say I'm a little bit weird. I'm different.
Well, but Mitchell also looks at it differently from a player's perspective, from different perspectives. So no. I mean, he has different ways to look at it, and I get that because it means different things to players than it does fans. They fans.
I mean, I'm an ex-player too.
Yeah, I was going to say
Player may not have
I think it's probably more of a personality thing, but I hear what you're saying. Here's another fun one. So New Mexico State, Minnesota. This is making local headlines. Jerry Kill went on a show and basically said, "I'm not going to shake the hands of PJ Fleck." So we got some spiciness for that game.
That's
why did he say that though? I know.
There's a article that I saw late last night. I didn't click on it, and I guess there was some sort of interview that went down. But I know the background of it, which is when PJ Fleck took over, he made comments publicly about how the culture needed to get fixed after he took over, some form of that. And Jerry Kill took that personally. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a big PJ fan, but every single coach who takes over says something about the culture needs to be fixed. Yeah, dude, it is.
You have to. There's a reason that a change is being made.
Of course, it is standard conversation. So I don't really think it's that big a deal. I think it's Jerry Kill being a little butthurt on how it all went down. Minnesota didn't even fire Jerry Kill, if you can remember. I mean, he medically retired. I don't know if you remember the crazy. Yep. So
he's back coaching.
And so are Minnesota fans because he walked away from the program and flat out.
And they really liked him.
Absolutely, Jerry Soda, man. It was big time up here. So Minnesota fans.
PJ Fleck is. If he wins, they like him, but when he's not, he's kind of got that real car salesman shtick going.
No doubt there. There's a ton of Gopher fans that have confided in me that I like when PJ wins games. I don't like PJ so much. So there's some truth in that. But I tell you what, every college football fan can look over a lot of stuff as long as their team is winning football contests.
Winning cures all.
The ultimate deodorant. Absolutely.
You got that. Hey, all right. So,
and then, dude, Illinois, Indiana, Friday night. I mean, that is an incredible.
I was going to say, so we've got these games. Let's talk about Thursday first. We got Penn State, Purdue.
Yep.
All right. We've got nothing to look
4
at.
minutes.
I don't know. I think I'm going to take Jeff Brom in a first game over Penn State. They're at home.
Coin flip game. I don't like that one either way right now.
I think that quarterback at Purdue is really, really good.
He is, but
he's got really, really good coaches. He's got Jeff Brom and Brian Brom.
On offense to throw the ball, but there's a whole other football game being played on the other side. So,
yes.
I mean, if Penn State can run the ball, it is game, set, match for Purdue in that game, in my opinion. But I need to see that
right now.
What's
Purdue
that?
Who do you think wins?
I would say Penn State, but I tell you what, I am not confident. I think Penn State is first of all, that they're not ranked. They're annoyed. Everybody forgets that Penn State.
They got a 4-year quarterback,
and he's good. I think he's better than what people.
He started for freaking 3 years or 3 years. A 3-year starting quarterback.
And this is famously his first time that he's had the same offensive coordinator for 2 years in a row. If they can just give Clifford a little bit of protection and a rushing attack, I think Penn State will be very good.
That sounded familiar last year. I heard that a lot.
That is absolutely a fair point. You're dead on. We've been saying that about Penn State's whole line.
No, I'm talking about for Indiana.
How
interesting is it? I'm going to get both your opinions. Michael Penix named the starting quarterback at Washington.
Yeah. It is. There's some really fun, ex Big Ten players playing in other places. Adrian Martinez at Kansas State, which is incredible, and Penix at Washington. I wasn't convinced he was going to win that quarterback race. So that's something that's going to be awesome to watch. And then they play Michigan State. Second or
trying
third
to find
week.
out who they play. Who do they play in their first week?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not a Pac-12 guy, but I know that Washington and Michigan State goes out there to play them. So, I mean, Michigan State fans are undoubtedly counting that game as a win, and I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that Michigan State went out there. We got to finish the show week 0 with Indiana, Illinois, keys, predictions.
Quickly.
Yeah, what are you?
Or we can save it for next week. I mean, it'll be
next week.
Okay.
It'll be the morning of, but yeah.
I'm gonna wear my helmet for that. By the way,
Absolutely.
I might come in full gear: pads, jersey, helmet, gloves, cleats. I'm gonna be ready to go.
Opens up on Saturday, September 3rd at night against Kent State.
Okay.
And they play Michigan State on September 17th at home.
College football is back, baby.
Man,
the long national nightmare is over, gentlemen. We are there.
Back. We are back.
What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to? What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to tomorrow? Just besides it, it's here.
Honestly, just that first series, Nebraska Northwestern.
The kickoff in Dublin, baby. When that ball goes up in the air in Dublin, Ireland.
The energy, the feel, how the new look Nebraska offense looks. Will Northwestern's front seven bow up and look better? Like I can't wait to watch the first couple series of that game.
I cannot either. I can't thank Alec Lasley enough from thehoosier.com, Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, Mitchell Paige from SIG. We didn't get that up. And our man Jeffrey the Greek from Eyes on Big podcast with his man Big Kurt. Make sure you check that out and come back and join us again on Monday when we'll be back to talk about everything that happened. Man, as always, boys, it's been a blast.
Yeah, man.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Mitchell, have a great weekend. Jeffrey, have a great weekend. John, the producer, have a great weekend. And you guys go out, have fun, have a great weekend, be safe. And until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.